Without further ado, let's introduce you to our top level panel that we've assembled for you today. We've got Thomas Bibb from Exascale, we've got William Rowland from Connexus, and we've got Rod Lawrence from SWS, all here to talk broadly around communications, telecoms, broadband technology. That's right, isn't it, gents? Yeah. I'll start with you, since you've got the squeaky chair and you can get things out of the way first. Just tell us a bit about you and your business.
So Exascale predominantly is based in Telford. We've got our own fibre to premise network to both homes and businesses, as well as nationally, using partners such as Openreach, Vodafone and others to connect businesses all around the country. Our predominant focus at present is connecting rural communities. So most recently we connected the village of Horton.
I saw a picture of you, one of your vans on the Queen's pub car park this week.
So recently we connected the pub, and we're moving away from Horton now because it's nearly complete, onto Preston on the Wheelmoors and Kinnersley. And we've got other projects which we've secured with the Department of Culture, Media and Sport to roll out in Telford, which we've not yet announced either.
And how do you decide which communities you connect? Is it a contract that's given to you, or is it based on demand, or how does it work?
So generally what we look at communities which are underserved or haven't got sufficient speeds, and which enable them to get government subsidy to enable the connectivity to happen. So generally that's how we select areas, or business estates where connectivity is lacking, and there's opportunities there to connect businesses to higher speed broadband.
And Bill, I'll come to you in a minute, but I know that Rod, your company does something very similar to this, doesn't it? Sort of over the southwest Shropshire area. Is it sort of Ponsonby, Minsterley area? Is it the same kind of thing?
It is very similar. We tend to try and, up to now we've done very much like Exascale has done just villages and clusters in that respect. But we're trying to make it now broader so that we will try and hit every single premise that is eligible for a voucher, as they say, and basically every single premise which cannot get ultra fast broadband.
And how do you become eligible for a voucher? How does it work?
Ooh, it's very tricky, that
That's
one.
difficult to talk about in 20 minutes, isn't it?
Yes, 20 minutes would only just skim the surface. DCMS know where all their slow speed connections are from most likely Openreach data. They then put that into the UPRN data and say this premise can get such and such. Anything under 30 megs is basically really deemed as poor nowadays. Anything over, I think, 90 or 100 megs is sort of sufficient, but they're all aiming to get fibre to everywhere. So they put it all into there. They've got, as Thomas says, they do the procurement, the PRPs as such, and they also then do the massive procurement. So Shropshire has had some massive procurements going on, which are coming to finalisation now, and then we go along and build afterwards.
And I mean, Bill, from your point of view, your company, you're about very much keeping people connected wherever they are, aren't you? Whether they are in their home, in their office. How much has your world changed in the last few years?
Well, the first thing is we are business focused as opposed to residential, if I'm honest. We've been established 25 years, something I'm very proud of, and I think we consider ourselves to be the independent, impartial advisor, really. So we're a reseller of product. So what we're looking for from the service providers, and there are plenty now actually, is product to take to our installed customer base to offer them the alternative, a provider for decent internet.
Do you find that businesses know what they want, or are they using you as a consultancy?
It's speed, really. In its most basic format, it's speed, and then what we're looking to do is to overlay voice over IP, VoIP connectivity, which is replacing ISDN and analog lines as well. December.
Some of that's going to be obsolete very soon.
Yeah, absolutely. No, even what people don't realise is, whilst I think the business community understands that ISDN digital exchange lines are going end of life, so are all PSTN services. So your regular home telephone line will be an internet-only service as of 31st of December 2025, and I don't think that is publicised as much as it should be. And for lots of people our generation and younger, I don't think it's an issue. You can port your home telephone number onto a mobile device, do what you like. But for the older generation that are used to a landline, it won't be there. And more than that, the replacement, if somebody wants a physical telephone at home, is a VoIP, a voice over IP handset, which requires power. So in the unlikely event of a power cut, there will be no connectivity to that home. So I think that point needs to be fleshed out. But from our perspective, what our customers are after is internet speed, really.
That's the key thing, isn't it? You were
Yeah.
talking, Rob, about the fact that speed and the different levels of what you're looking at now. I mean, at home, I'm on 70 megabyte connection, but I can remember being really excited when we got a 512 megabyte kilobyte connection,
Yeah,
you know,
dial-up.
back in the dial-up days. And I worked where I live in Shrewsbury to get the Halscott telephone exchange upgraded to ADSL. We had to do these campaigns with BT. And you kind of got some vouchers for doing it. And we were knocking on doors, getting people to sign up to get the exchange upgrades. So that's changed so much, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
in that time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Thomas, you've gone very much at Exascale down the road of trying to set up sort of community ambassadors, haven't you, to try to
Yes.
help
So
sort of prove a case?
So it's on that point, Carl. What we try and do is work with the community and take them on the journey of delivering improved infrastructure, because if we don't get enough sign-ups in that area, it doesn't really make the project commercially viable. So what we try and do is we try and hold town hall meetings or village hall meetings to bring everybody together and explain what the difference is between what everybody sees as fibre today,
Yeah.
which is fibre to the cabinet over the copper phone line, to fibre which is all the way from a network site or an exchange or a cabinet all the way to the premise. So we explain all the intricacies around that, as well as what happened during the period of when we're installing the infrastructure, disruption, trying to keep that at a minimum, working the local highways, etc. So we try and take them on that journey, because it's quite daunting for some people to understand the whole process. So that's generally what we try and do with the communities, and then we try and take on or adopt the method of taking someone out of that community and working with us and giving them a free connection to the internet, say, in their village, and they work with us to gain uptake in that area.
When you go in, I was just going to say, like you go into that village hall and you're having those first meetings to the point where it's actually connected at their house. How long does that take? Is that quite a period of time?
So, typically, in a lot of rural villages, what we've found is the existing OpenReach infrastructure, ducting or poles, it is not in good state of repair. So it takes longer than we'd expect. So this is where we have to do intrusive surveys, something which we call test rod and rope, to see if we can get just rope down, not cable. And then we get a better picture of how long it will take to deliver the infrastructure and how we can phase it to deliver it and connect people as we go, in essence. Yeah.
We always hear, don't we, in the headlines that Shropshire is perceived as being rural backwater, not at the forefront, forgotten parts of the county, particularly the small towns, villages, hamlets. Is that the case now? You know, are we really trailing as far behind?
I don't think so, actually. There is a plethora of choice out there now, from wireless providers, the likes of Unitron or Userve or Airband, to alternative physical network service providers that are putting fibre in the ground, direct connect fibre. We just lined up with another company for Shrewsbury last week, full fibre. They're rolling out gigabit speed, full fibre. It's a synchronous service, which means it's same speed up and down. No, I'm sorry, it's asynchronous, I'm sorry, as opposed to direct connect, but it's still a fibre-based service. And the great thing about the marketplace at the moment is that more and more organisations such as Exascale and SWS and these others are coming to the fore, and it's not so much about choice, it's more about availability. So when OpenReach made the announcement they were taking product end of life December 2025, I guess that Ofcom and the government knew that there would be other service providers that would come in and fill the void, because OpenReach are really not in a position to do it themselves. They're really not.
I mean, you say it's not just about choice, but to be fair, the fact that there is choice now is one of the big things, maybe, Rod, isn't it? That perhaps if you roll back 5-6 years, that was one of the problems, wasn't it? You didn't have many options.
Well, it is very much that. We're going into the towns around South Shropshire, Church Stretton, Bishop's Castle, Craven Arms, where we've actually got services about to go live there. And we're giving them the choice to go to the full fibre, and to put it bluntly, we're going in with 10 gig services. So somebody could take a 10 gig from us, and it is synchronous, so it'll be up and down. So we can then also offer the business standard that they wish. So it's giving the businesses a choice rather than just going to OpenReach. They're also going to have the choice of going to a service which we can provide and we can deliver to anywhere in the country.
When you're going in and telling people they could achieve those speeds in these villages, I bet they're quite happy, aren't they?
Well, yeah, they are, thankfully.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, we're trying to deliver a central London standard of connection to, small villages like Stiperstones, in South Shropshire. And, Stiperstones is, a lovely example of how we can get that service there.
In terms of business, this is helping business because there's businesses moving into these areas potentially wouldn't be able to before because they wouldn't have had that connection that they'd require.
Yes, I mean we've got there's the business park in Craven Arms, which we've got connections on there, and there's some very good international clients on there, and we can provide them with a service which can get them a service as good as anywhere else.
And Tommy, you mentioned Horton. What other rural communities in the sort of Telford and Wrekin area then are you looking at the moment? What's the rollout plans?
So obviously we've practically completed Horton now, gaining near 90% penetration, so that connecting majority of the homes and businesses in that area. We're moving on to Preston under Weald Moors, Kinnersley, and we've also secured gigabit voucher funding, which we've started to market in Lilleshall and also Chetwyn Aston. Yeah.
So it's very much the rural communities in that sort of
That's definitely
umbrella across the north of Telford. Really,
yeah, that's definitely our focus at the moment, and also expanding our reach on business estates as well.
It's worth making the point also, I think, that actually probably residential, the requirement in the residential sector for speed or high speed is greater than in business, because a lot of businesses have 200, 300, 400, half a gig of service, and they probably actually don't need that. Whereas in the home marketplace, where people are streaming, gaming, watching video online, etc., there is a greater requirement for those higher speeds. But I mean, it's worth mentioning also mobile. We, if somebody has an issue with an internet service, we've got some routers with 4G SIM cards in them, and we'll just take them out there to give them some form of internet access in the short term. And you'd be surprised, we can have it in for 2 and 3, 4, maybe a week long whilst Openreach are sorting issues out, and the customer doesn't. Yes, they notice a difference, but they can function.
They still function.
They've got
They
that
can function
connectivity. It's like
effectively.
when the internet goes down at home for me, for a couple of minutes, you're thinking it's gone. It is that
and
fourth
5G's on the
service
way.
now.
5G is being rolled out. So yeah,
And of course, that's become more important in the last 2 or 3 years because more people have switched to home working or hybrid working since COVID, haven't they? So has that changed the typical kind of customers that all of you guys maybe have now?
From our perspective, what we noticed is that, like everywhere else, everybody wanted to go and work from home. There's absolutely a drive back to be back in the office now, without doubt. And I think it's that flexibility of flexible working. If you ask somebody, do a survey in an organisation, what would be your preference? I guarantee you it'll be 2 to 3 days working from home, 2 to 3 days working in the office, and a day floating somewhere in between.
Yeah.
Guarantee that's what they want. But we know of organisations that are saying, yep, you're office-based and that's it, with flexibility. So I think that there is a natural. I mean, we're social interactive animals. We want to be in a working environment. As somebody said to me when in the thick of COVID that they'd taken on a graduate, and this is about 9 months later, and they're not a big organisation, 30 or 40 people, and one of the partners had never even met this graduate. Why would he?
Yeah.
So to get your profile, to learn from your contemporaries and your peers, doesn't happen if you're home working.
No. What about either of you two guys? Have you seen your typical customer base change as a result of our lifestyle shifts?
I suppose, going back to when the code first started, then is because we had the fixed wireless we still have the fixed wireless network. That was very much just we need to get connection because we're home working, because the ADSL or FTTC just didn't hack it. So we had a big shift there. And thankfully we kept most of those customers, and we are moving them over to fibre as and when we go into those areas. So, there was a big increase, yes.
What about you, Thomas? What to say?
During COVID, I think that's when we started the journey of really ramping up the fibre network delivery, and we've seen during COVID, I think various other well-known providers struggled with the demand on their networks because they wasn't used to the demand from residential users. It was more business-based. So we've seen a massive uptick in residential orders during the COVID period. So that was probably one of our best years, to be honest. And since then, we've seen that the residential market just keeps growing, and also from a business standpoint, we've seen people trying to cut costs during the current cost of living crisis. But also there's more focus on quality of service, customer service, and also latency. And I don't think latency spoke about that often, but you can have a really fast connection but high latency, and that could be just as bad as having a slow connection. Do you know what I mean? So we deliver quality speeds with low latency, which is great for cloud working, real-time
I was
applications.
going to say voice over IP and things like
Et
that,
cetera, yeah.
and video calling, I guess, as
Yep.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is it also crucial from that point of view, if we're talking about customer service, the fact that, you know, you are all here, Shropshire-based people, you know the county, you know the people, you are local people, you're not in a call centre on the other side of the world. And I don't know, Chris and I have, you know, had lots of people in the studio here who are saying that we want to do business with other local Shropshire businesses. So that's got to be a big selling point for the three
I
of
think
you.
you need to come and work for me, Carl. Get the message out there.
Make me an offer. Is that important? Do you find that as a big
Absolutely,
selling
yeah,
point?
absolutely.
Very much so.
You know, people buy from people, and you want to deal locally where you can. I think one other point worth mentioning also is that it's widely acknowledged now that, you know, that internet connection is a basic utility. It is a fundamental requirement of everyday life. And I think that's probably been an evolution over the last maybe 5 years, that acknowledgement and acceptance that every home has got to have decent internet, because you can't bank without it. There's so much that you can't do now without a decent internet connection.
You're disadvantaged now if you haven't got
Absolutely.
an internet connection that's decent
Yeah.
at home.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess as well, you know, 15, 20 years ago, the most important thing when you were looking to buy a property for a lot of people with families is what school catchment area you're in. But now there's other considerations, you know, sort of what's the connectivity
Well, I think
like, what's the
I think
network
don't
like?
estate agents rate that? I
They
think
do,
that they
Yes,
do.
if you go to Rightmove, I think there's
Yeah.
a little
Yeah.
signal meter, isn't there, that tells you what your speed is that you could potentially get at that property.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
on the basis of residential homes as well, there's quite a number of articles online that suggests that if there's fibre connectivity available at premises, there's an uptick in the value of the home.
Yes, that is
By
another
up
point,
to £5,000.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
So there's varied benefits, yeah.
How much time do the three of you spend then having to keep up to speed with what the next big thing is? And because it's never moved so quickly, has it, this market?
I think it goes back to, you know, when you're working from home, if you're interacting with people, then you feel you have a quick 5 minutes here, quick chat there, you know, it's not that difficult to keep
I mean, as far as the fibre concerns, thankfully, fibre, once it's in, it will last for 20, 40, 50 years. It's the technology over the top of it, which is more, you know, we're an ISP as well, but there is obviously the applications over the top, which is the important thing. We just got to get the fibre there so no one can argue.
And in terms of your targets for that, have you got, how do you break it down? Have you got an annual target and sort of, you know, where do you need to be?
Yeah, I mean, we've got some investors who have put in a lot of money for us to build out these networks. They've got targets of, you know, total homes passed, as well as, you know, the number of actual connections. Thankfully, in the rural space, if we can pass a home, there's a 60, 70% chance they're going to take a service from us. So we've got a very high uptake in that respect. Overall, we're looking at, hopefully, over the next 2 years, 80 to 100,000 premises, not just in Shropshire, but, you know, wider afield. But Shropshire's our starting point.
And from your point of view, Thomas, then Telford very much your starting point, but it's not only Telford that you work in, is it? I know you've got other parts of the West Midlands and further afield, isn't there?
Yes, we've got network in predominantly Telford. That's where our biggest network is, but we've also got network in West Bromwich, where parts of West Bromwich are underserved in residential estates, and they're still getting what you know ADSL in some areas,
Really?
which is crazy.
Yeah.
At this in this day and age. So yeah, we try to plug the gap in West Bromwich, and we also serve a lot of large businesses around the country using partners, as I explained, Vodafone, Openreach, etc., to connect them to our ISP network, similar to SWS. Yeah.
What's the biggest challenge for your sector, your companies, your business, your industries at the moment, do you think?
Our biggest challenge, there are many. Thankfully, the public wish the service. It's because we're doing it through procurements and PRPs through DCMS. It's very much getting them to, support's the wrong word, but let us go and do it and know that we can get the funding at the back of it. Because, you know, there are some areas of Shropshire which they really do. They're lucky to have a copper line, and you know they cannot get anything. And you know people go and take daily phone calls elsewhere because of the service. And you know it's being able to get these people. You know that's our challenge, and getting the funding for it.
Given that we're a reseller of other people's product, I think our challenge is always getting in front of people. You know, getting the people to come to talk to us, or having the opportunity of going and talking to people so that we can discuss with them what is available, because you know we're pretty well positioned really, to have a good feel of the marketplace, know what's out there. It's in the interest of the service providers to tell us what they've got to offer. Some will sign a reseller agreement with us, some won't, but just the fact that you know what's available, I think is what we're all about. And so getting in front of the people, absolutely. Sales head on here.
It's a phrase, isn't it? It's you don't know what you don't know. If you don't know
Exactly.
that there's better technology that exists than what you've got at the moment,
Yeah.
you won't go looking for it, will you?
No,
So
quite right. Yeah.
what about from your point of view, challenges? And
I think there's I'll touch on what Rod mentioned around the procurements and the vouchers. I think that because of the constant political landscape changing and the target on government's head 2025 for 80% of the country to be fibred up, I think there's a lot of focus to keep changing strategy to ensure that's delivered. So that brings uncertainty to the market, which doesn't really help companies like Exascale or SWS deliver the service which the users want, even though I think the government see it as ramping up their delivery to meet their targets. So I think there's a halfway house to be had there. And I think, I forgot the other one.
give you a bit of thinking time.
Yeah.
While I do, now we've got 3 communication experts in our hot seat here, we've got to ask the question. What happened with that government emergency alert thing on our phones
All right,
at the
didn't get it.
weekend? What's that all about? What went wrong? What went right? What went wrong?
Well, our understanding is that the 3 network didn't get the alert. Now that was interesting because last week the government was saying that it was mast specific, so it didn't matter what network you're on, what carrier you're on, if you were in the UK you were going to get the alert. So my understanding is that 3 for one and maybe others didn't get the alert, and so therefore it wasn't passed on.
So I did read into the technical, being a bit of geek, I did read into the technical detail of how the alert actually works, and the operators which did successfully send the message rebroadcasted it for a period of 25 minutes,
Yeah.
whereas what I read, 3 only sent the message
It was
once.
just once, wasn't it?
Right.
And therefore
So-
it didn't get a chance for other mobiles to pick up the
Because
signal.
they've got to send a message to the handsets to listen, and then during that 25-minute period, the handsets, while they're in listening mode, will then receive the message.
Which is why some people got it after 10
Yeah.
minutes after.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is they have tested it since silently, so it didn't go off on your phone, but it is now working. So if
Another one then.
you never know, they might be testing it again. Yeah.
Do you, I mean, one of the debates that came up, inevitably always does when something like this is in the headlines is Big Brother's watching us. What does the government know about us? What do our phones store? How can they are they tracking us? And from a technology point of view, people get frightened of that kind of thing.
Have you never noticed if you're in the car talking to somebody and then suddenly you'll get something on your phone from Facebook or something which is relevant to the conversation you've had? Don't think your mobile phone isn't listening to you.
No, absolutely.
It's quite scary.
No, you're
It is
quite right.
scary.
I mean, the thing is, I understand what you're saying there, but remember, it's the phone which is only looking for the alert in that respect. Admittedly, as Bill says, then Facebook could be listening to you, but the actual phone itself isn't.
Yeah. It's amazing how many times I've had conversations with people, and we do it deliberately sometimes, dropping in keywords of, I want Sky TV or a lawnmower or something like that, and then you'll get those ads served to you. And it is on Facebook.
Or LinkedIn or any of them, I guess.
absolutely,
Yeah.
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 It's interesting.
Finally, then, gentlemen, I just wanted to ask all 3 of you. What's the next big thing? What's coming next, and how quickly is it coming? What should we be getting excited about or looking out for? Is it 6G coming? I know some people are still on 4G, haven't got 5G.
Well, I
yet,
guess it's
but,
rollout to 5G, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, 5G rollout, and then obviously 6G is already being played with. But I mean, how much speed?
I know.
Yeah, how
I
much
know.
speed?
When
can you
is it
use?
just another update for the sake of an update? When is
Yeah.
it more than we actually need it to be? And when are we paying for more than we'll ever use?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the capacity of fibre is phenomenal. And okay, 6G is the next rollout, but yeah, I mean, you can only use so much.
So do you see, very much what you're laying, in some of these communities you talk about is going to be fit for generations to come then, do you see?
Well, I think so we mentioned 5G, which is obviously wireless to handsets, and I think a few operators have actually marketed that as an alternative to fibre connectivity, but I do really see there's 2 elements to this, whereas there's the fixed wireless access piece, or the 5G, and also fixed line. And I can't see 5G replacing fixed line because you get the reliability of a fixed line. And fibre is the enabler for 5G. Without fibre, you haven't got 5G.
I think the answer to the question is look how long copper's been around.
Yeah.
100 plus years.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't fibre be around for that
Yeah.
length of time and longer?
There's
Once
also
it's in, it's in.
there's also a general feeling, rightly or wrongly, and correct me if you don't agree, that sometimes Shropshire as well maybe isn't right at the forefront of the innovation? We're maybe in the second wave. We'll look and see what happens in other parts of the world or other parts of the country.
Is that a bad thing? You know, if they're going to put it into London, which is always going to be first, you know, we're not. Do we have the demand for it to actually mean that we got it and
Commercially viable.
commercially viable, especially you know with some areas of Shropshire being so difficult to get to.
What sort of proportion then of all your customers are Shropshire-based customers? And you know, is it changed? Is it is it becoming more local?
Half, 60%.
Right.
Yeah, perhaps a bit more. Yeah, perhaps a bit more. 2/3.
So you're really scratching the surface in terms of the potential and how far you can go in this area. People forget just how many fantastic businesses we've got in Shropshire, even though we're a rural county.
Just need to find the opportunity, Carl.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Shropshire Business Live TV is one of them.
Absolutely, you're right.
Thank you for coming in. It's been great
Thank
to
you.
talk. Hopefully this will spark a few good questions, and if anybody has got anything they want to say, anything commenting on anything they've heard, you can get to us through our social media channels and we'll put any of your questions to our panellists. But thank you very much for coming
Thank
in,
you.
gents. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Let's have some news.
Two Shropshire companies are working in partnership to promote each other's products and services to their customers. Farrows Group have teamed up with award-winning caravan and motorhome dealership Solop Leisure. Farrows is loaning a new Mazda CX-60 in the company's livery to Solop Leisure, which will be used as a demonstrator to deliver touring caravans to customers. Shropshire celebrated a hat-trick of successes at this year's Federation of Small Businesses Regional Awards, held at RAF Midlands Museum at Cosford. It was hosting the West Midlands finals, where local winners spoke of being stunned, speechless, honoured and delighted with their successes on home soil. Bridgnorth-based Good to Great won Service Excellence Award. Madeley's First Aid from Much Wenlock were crowned Startup Business of the Year, and Telford's Bethany Tomlinson of Life Bar was named Young Entrepreneur of the Year. They all go through to represent the region at the national finals on May the 18th. And a construction group which recently celebrated 20 years in business has welcomed 2 new directors to its board. SWG Group works on construction projects across Shropshire and Mid Wales and is now expanding into the West Midlands as its client base continues to grow. Bosses have now announced Sophie Shorey as SWG's new finance director and Josh Coleman as commercial director. There's more local business news coming up later in the show.
The law in England is changing to help catch a killer before more lives are lost. The killer is known to lie in wait before overcoming victims.
There's a killer in your house. It's colourless, odourless, tasteless, and kills whole families. But now the law is changing to stop it. Landlords must install a carbon monoxide alarm in all rooms with a fuel-burning appliance. Do you have enough ACO alarms?
Welcome back to Shropshire Business Live TV, coming to you live today from the Yarrington studios here in Shrewsbury. There's a bit of a technology theme running through a lot of our chats today. Ask the Expert regular Nick Jones is with us, and you brought a friend who's going to be demonstrating something shortly, but tell all.
I found a friend, thank you. Yes, so Sean's joined us today. The St James's Place Academy was formed about 11 years ago now, because in the industry, in the UK financial services, there's a lack of young people coming into the profession, and lots of us that have been around for a while are getting older, and people are retiring, and people need advice more now than ever. So 11 years ago, that was rectified somewhat by bringing in younger people and less experienced people, second careerists that might be doing something else and then have a total change.
And that's a lot of people these days, isn't it?
So a lot of people, yeah. Well, this year in the St James's Academy themselves, the intake is set to be 473 people from across the country into 3 different centres. But the programme itself has evolved over the years, and with COVID and the pandemic and things, embracing the technology a lot more now. But it's dramatically needed because people like us need a succession. We need people coming through.
So before the St James's Place Academy programme was in place then, how did it work? What happened before that?
There tended to be existing advisors that would be working for banks and building societies or independent financial advisors that would come across, and that was quite a steady stream, especially whilst the banks were relieving everybody of their jobs. It was a good time for recruiting good people to help to keep the St James's Place machine building and growing, and practices like ours growing. But as those people dry up, and there's only so many of them around, and then I think there's been a few big steps along the way. So when people had to do all the exams, that got rid of lots of people. There used to be over 200,000 people advising, believe it or not, and now we're, I think, over 27,000 across the UK in financial services. And over 4,700 of those are with St James's Place. So we've got a big proportion of advisors. We've got lots of clients to look after, and we've got lots of people that we want to make sure that the clients are looked after when the practice principals have retired.
So, Sean, welcome to the studio. Tell us a bit about you then, because you very much, this hasn't been your sector all your career either, has it? So.
Well, it has actually. To be fair, I've been a mortgage and protection advisor for 11 years now.
Right. Okay.
And it was funny that Nick said about 11 years. It pretty much played in like that, really. But yeah, I've worked for 2 major high street banks during that time. And then 4 years ago, Nick kindly invited me to join his practice. And he said, "Take a leap of faith, Sean, and come and join me." And it's been a fantastic project. Really enjoyed it. And really seeing Nick and the rest of the team has made me want to further my knowledge in financial advice further, really. As a result, I sat my extra financial exams, and I'm now at the captain's table with Nick now.
So you came in very much as a mortgage and protection specialist?
Yeah, so it was an area advice that Nick at the time didn't specialise in, but he wanted me to bring me in and help with his existing clients. But we ended up growing this mortgage division organically, and we've nurtured this ecosystem really, where we've engaged loads of different types of people from all different walks of life, and it's been a very successful project. Of course, the pandemic was horrible for so many reasons, but on the mortgage and protection front, it was an area where it really did boom, and we found that the mortgage division was growing from strength to strength. Conversely, with obviously the budget, which happened last year, the mortgage area sort of subsided for a little bit. And it gave me the chance to have some personal development time and sit back, take my exams, and yeah, this is where I am now, on the SJP path, really.
How's that been then, going into that path and on this learning journey now?
It's been really good, and St James's Place has been great anyway, but the team at Throgmorton's and Nick, they've been my biggest sponsors, really, and having that support in the background has always been great. I've never ever felt really any pressure in the role that I have, and it's all about, it's very much a family basis where I work. So when the mortgage market did subside, I discussed with the director and said to them, look, this is my battle plan, this is what I want to become. And they got behind it because they knew that the long-term future is advice. And as Nick said, with the SJP Academy, that's where we're looking to go.
And we mentioned that technology's got a bit of a theme through the show today.
We have.
So, on the Academy, we've got some images here of you getting stuck into the latest technology, which you'll see. What's going on here? Talk us through it. Why?
Well, I'm basically using something called an Oculus headset, and it's like being part of Tron, basically. It's like going back to 1982 and going in there. But yeah,
nothing wrong with that.
No, it's great. I mean, I'm an 80s kid as well. But it's yeah. So it's the technology is fantastic because usually before you advise clients, you work in a safe environment to begin with when you get to know the role a bit more, and you tend to do role plays, but they can be very scripted. The great thing about its technology, it's very immersive, and there's a preloaded artificial intelligence where you interact with, and it's also about the body language of an interview as well. And it comes up at the end of the interview of how you've scored, but it gives you an opportunity where you can shake the client's hand. And as I said to you earlier, it's the AI says, come on in and take a seat, and the amount of times I've taken a seat and there's no actual chair there is a bit strange, really. But yeah, the beauty of St James Place Academy is they're constantly investing in the best technology going forward, and this is a great way for new advisors, especially people who may not have been given advice previous, gives them a safe environment to practice, but a more immersive one.
Because Nick, the use of technology in your sector is evolved massively, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And lots of processes that maybe would have just carried on as they were when offices were closed, when everyone was working remotely, when all of a sudden you had to have documents signed by somebody and you didn't actually necessarily you wouldn't be able to see them, and maybe the postal system wasn't as reliable as it was.
Physical signing.
Yeah. So now most of the stuff that we do, we have these DocuSign, and we use various means to actually get electronic captures of signatures that are still compliant, that still are law. They still are legal, and they're setting up contracts with people. But same with online payments. That's now accelerated mostly. We still collect new investment money by cheque, but it's got to be the minority now, really. A lot of people haven't even got a chequebook. I don't know. I won't ask you.
Definitely not. I haven't got one.
I've got one, but I don't know where it is.
Yeah,
actually, somewhere.
Yeah, last time you wrote a cheque, who knows? But some people still insist on that, and that's absolutely fine. So we can deal with it. But there's definitely a robust online system that works. And I think the Academy programme itself has morphed into the current version due to lockdowns and pandemics and things, but also it used to be very much a classroom based. So if you did the Solihull intake, you were in a classroom in Solihull, learning with your peers, and so exam study sections, or the role plays as Sean was talking about, that actually the client interaction side of things, and it was very much these are the number of weeks, that's where you're physically going to be there. Now it's a lot more of a hybrid, and they still get together in person, but there's a lot more self-learning and a lot more from home and virtual, and even online doing the role plays and things now, aren't you? He's got some tomorrow coming up, so but it's really great to get people prepared and get them up to speed. But there's some interesting people who've come through the academy as well, and other careers that they've been in. So they've been professional footballers or boxers or other businesses they might have run. It might be that they're returning to work after a career break due to having children. There's all kinds of people, and actually some are joining practices like ours with the support we can provide, and some have got that entrepreneurial spirit and they want to have a go at themselves. And we back that as well, actually. And if in the future they end up joining a practice, brilliant. If in the future they've got a practice the size of Throgmorton, then even better. There's no wrong way to do it, but it's just a great programme, and the resources gone into it, and the results of the great people that we see coming in is paying for itself, really.
So how long have you got on the programme, then where are you down the path? And
I'm kind of probably at a halfway high stage now, if I'm honest with you. So I'm about to start something called a consolidation week, which basically means we're consolidating all the learning that we've had so far and basically take a breather, because it is an intensive process. There's another 5 to 6 weeks to go. I graduate on June the 12th, and yeah, I'm excited to get on the road, really, and and be with Nick and the rest of the team and helping people with their financial needs.
Has it surprised you what you've learned in the way they've delivered a lot of this training?
Yeah, it's been good. So whenever I've worked in financial advice, the client has always been at the heart of everything that we've done, and that's a thread that's always followed me. So the St James Place Academy takes that to the next level, really. And even though I've been integrated with Nick's practice for 5 years, and I've heard conversations, because I've been so focused on the mortgage and protection area, I was surprised at all this extra information that I was able to soak up, really. So yeah, it's fantastic, and I've got an awful lot out of it and met some fantastic people.
Have you had a go at the headsets as well?
I did. We had a conference probably 18 months ago now, and I had a little play, and it's quite interesting. Yeah, and the things that you do naturally when you've been doing it for a while, it actually gets you to all those that. And, going into a client's lounge and sitting down, and if you go straight into talking about work, or you build some rapport, or you have all those soft skills things that a lot of people have got naturally, and some people really have to think about.
You say that, but soft skills that people maybe used to take for granted years ago, not so much these days, is it?
Absolutely. And when Sean came in 4.5, 5 years ago now for the other role, it was actually the person that I employed. It wasn't for what he could do at that time, and I knew at a point in the future he'd be a great guy to have in the team giving advice. At the time, I only qualified for mortgages, and it's been a journey. As he says, we did really well on the mortgage side and helped lots of people, and now that's just extending that and really helping him to really fulfil his potential. And he's a young guy, and he's got the time ahead of him. And by the time we're ready to hang up our boots, he'd be there ready and prepared as one of the.
I was going to say, so from a succession planning point of view, that's an important consideration as well.
Very much. Every business you talk to should be thinking about that sort of thing, isn't it? We talk about it all the time, and a lot of people don't take care of their own business, but we've very much got that focus because we want to be looking after clients and their families and their children and their grandchildren, And if we're just going to be retiring in 10 years, then who's there to do it? So we're growing our own, if you like.
First time I used an AR headset, I walked into a door frame, it frightened the life out of me, and I went over on my ankle, and I've always been a little bit nervous, but I've embraced it since.
Was it a virtual bar?
No, that's the sad thing. I could have used it as an excuse if it had been. So I mean, generally, we always sort of, when you come in every month, Nick, talk about what's happening, and there always seems to be. A month's a long time in wealth management, isn't it?
Yeah, a week's a long time.
Yeah, so where are we at the moment? We were talking last month about everybody saying inflation's peaked, it's all going to be coming down. We've seen some statistics, it doesn't appear to be that way, although people still think
it's sticking a bit longer, yeah. So the forecasts of a lower interest rates and lower bank rates by the end of the year, hopefully lower, but maybe not as low as they were originally forecasted. Still, the purchases and the selling of businesses is really vibrant. I was talking to someone the other day that specialises in preparing businesses for sale, and he said he's never been so busy. There's 4 or 5 times the usual flow of deals going through. And for us, we offer a unique service where we look at the individuals who are controlling the businesses, the business owners and shareholders, but also look at the business itself and work with people like him to try and get the business in the best shape possible. But from the individual perspective, it's how much is enough? How much is the right figure that I can sell for? And if we've got this magic target of income we need, how much do we actually need to generate as a lump sum to be able to provide that? And we can look at both angles, which is quite good. And we've got some really interesting cases going through at the moment, and we're always very careful not to spill any beans. But we've got lots of people who are going to be really happy, but they're confident in the numbers because we've done the cash flow forecasts and we've proven that they'll be okay afterwards. And they haven't got to hang on for the extra 500,000 or something, because it doesn't really make a difference. So in negotiations, that's good for them to know. They're in strength of power.
And Sean, from a mortgage point of view, then wearing your mortgage out, the housing market seems to, is it settled a bit?
Yeah, I mean, the Christmas period was scary. It really was for a lot of people. I was speaking with a lot of people who were scared where it was going to go. And then after the festive period, there did seem to be a recovery, really. And interest rates, as you said, have settled down. Where they're going to go, it's crystal ball with any level of financial advice. But yeah, they do seem to have settled. And I have found that more people have been approaching the thought of buying a house again, whereas pre-Christmas it was all very much, we're just going to wait and see. But yeah, it's nice to start seeing people again come through the doors, and especially those first-time buyers trying to get on the ladder for the first time.
I bet there's quite a lot of job satisfaction in that side of it, isn't there? When you sort of
it is,
play your part in it.
Yeah. There's an enormous amount of job satisfaction when someone will call you and say that they've found their dream house, and then you sit down with them and you talk through their aspirations and you help them achieve that, and it is a really great feeling, and that's why. Again, doing what Nick does, I want to continue in the role and keep delivering that.
Yeah, what's nice as well is that we across the range of clients we look after, we've got all of those little wins that keep us going and keep us fulfilled. I was chatting with a lady this morning who's been a client for a while now, pension-wise, and actually is looking at the future, needing X amount at X age. Am I on track? Well, actually, if we do this, we do some calculations and maybe change this and pay into that as well, maybe, and then the numbers fit, and it's like actually such a relief. She said, "Oh, I'm so pleased." And that's great. You feed from that, and then you're looking forward to the next meeting and looking forward to making these things happen. And when someone's at that stage and they're actually retiring, or retirement is a funny thing now, isn't it? They're choosing whether they work for money or not. That's so empowering as well. And then they're the happiest clients you'll ever meet because they've got all the time, still got the health hopefully, and they're retiring 2 or 3 years earlier than the state tells them they're allowed to.
We love people that are happy in their work, don't we? So
Absolutely.
thank you both for coming in.
Thank
Good
you.
luck with the
Cheers.
training, and you'll have to come back and tell us how it's all gone.
I will do. Thank you very much,
It's
both.
the other
Cheers.
end. Thanks very much. Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, earlier this week, it was on Tuesday, it was a sunny morning. Carl, you went along to the Dingle.
Beautiful day in Shrewsbury Quarry.
It's absolutely lovely, and you spoke to Tracy Woods from Shropshire Council talking about the Shropshire Economic Partnership. Let's take a look.
So spring has sprung, and what better place to come for an interview than the quarry in Shrewsbury, which is looking absolutely fantastic. Tracy Woods from Shropshire Council is with us. Hello.
Hi there. Hi.
Now, Tell me about you, because your role has sort of changed a little bit since last time we spoke on the telly, hasn't it?
I think so, yes. So my official title, if you like, is Key Account and Inward Investment Manager.
That's a big one.
It is, absolutely. It means I get involved in a huge amount of things, very varied, very exciting. No 2 days are the same, which is fantastic. But actually what I'm doing now is getting involved in the Shropshire Economic Partnership.
Which is newish, isn't it? Is it a
It's
new name
newish.
for something that used to exist before, or is it brand new?
Yes,
or something?
it's a bit of both, I would say. So we used to have the Shropshire Business Board, and that was sort of pre-COVID, if you like, and during the pandemic we had the Economic Task Force, and those two sort of groups came together to try and help the business community across Shropshire and do what was needed at that point in time. Obviously we've come out of the pandemic, we're now in a hopefully fresh era, and we have just launched the Economic Growth Strategy within Shropshire Council, so that takes us through to 2027. So what we've done is we've created the Shropshire Economic Partnership Board, and that brings together organisations from higher and further education, from Shropshire Council, from the business community, the voluntary community, the third sector, and representatives from small business organisations as well. And really they are the group that come together to drive forward the economic growth strategy. The strategy is Shropshire's, it's not Shropshire Council's.
So the partnership's job is not to write the action plan, it's more to consult, deliver and make it evolve,
right,
is it really?
yes. So underneath the Economic Partnership Board, we've actually got delivery groups that are made up not necessarily of the same people but the same representation across the community, and it's them that they sit within 3 strategic themes of the economic growth strategy. So we're talking business support, people and skills, and strategic locations. So it's what's needed across Shropshire to deliver those things to the people of Shropshire. And those 3 groups sitting under those strategic themes are there to be the delivery, the action, the doing, if you like.
So I guess there's 2 elements to that then, isn't there? Making sure you've got the right skills of business people on these groups, but also the right geographical spread around the county of Shropshire as well, because you don't want it to just be Shrewsbury centric, do you?
Absolutely, and that's been a very key for us in working and bringing together those people. And the delivery groups they're not set in stone, they're a fluid group of people, so dependent on what activity is happening, we'll be bringing in the right specialists, the right experts in any particular area. But yes, so if we take the business support group as an example, we've got people from the Oswestry Bid, we've got people from South Shropshire, we've also got Shrewsbury-based businesses as well. So we are making sure that we cover the county. It is a county-wide strategy after all.
So how can businesses connect with this partnership and interact and feed in and make comment, and influence maybe what you do?
Absolutely. Well, we've had, in order to create the economic growth strategy, we've had a lot of consultation over the last 18 months. That's fed through some of those key themes that we want to meet and achieve over the next few years. But if people want to get involved, they can get involved through the Invest in Shropshire website, contacting us through there, making comment through there. All the information about the strategy is on Invest in Shropshire, and there's links through to get through to us as a team.
So what sort of things does this plan look at? Are we talking about infrastructure? Are we talking about investment? Are we talking about recruitment? What kind of...
All of the above, to be honest. So it's looking at the needs of businesses, the needs of the people, and the needs in terms of the infrastructure as well. So we're talking about digital infrastructure, the green agenda and the net zero challenges that we've got facing us as individuals and as businesses, and how we can bring that and make that happen across the county.
So you're quite a good sounding board then with all these committees you're attending.
Yes.
In terms of what's top of an agenda in terms of concerns for busineses at the moment.
Yeah.
What are businesses wanting to talk to you about at the moment?
Obviously the energy crisis has, I would say, created a lot more drive to meet that carbon net zero. Because obviously that helps with the pricing as well as being climate sensitive. people and skills has been something, a big challenge for businesses. And it's not just about getting the people here today in position, but it's thinking about what they're going to need in 5 and 10 years' time. I think isn't there that that message that the jobs that the people start in school now aren't even
been invented. Yes, I know, which is quite troubling, isn't it?
Absolutely.
But that's
so
hard for employers to get their head around when they're struggling to even just fill gaps or retain staff now, isn't it?
Absolutely. And it's really, you know, we've got a team of people that will help businesses identify those skill gaps that they've got, that work across the further education, higher education organisations. They're part of those delivery groups as well, to meet those gaps, to try and find out what's needed now, what's needed in 5 years and onwards.
Wanted to talk to you as well about some of these shared working hubs that are popping up all around Shropshire. I saw a picture of you in Bridge North the other day. There's lots of these around the county.
There is. We've got 16 operators around the county now. They are fantastic. It's that new way of working that we've all come through the pandemic. There are within Shropshire, we have got a huge range of small businesses, the SMEs. They don't necessarily just want to be at home behind a desk. They still want to get out there. They want to network, and these facilities give them that opportunity. It's a range of hot desking. There are operators that have got private offices that offer that risk-free approach to having a place for 2 or 3 people. It's the easy in, easy out, an incubator space to grow. They've got Zoom rooms, podcast facilities, and it can be on a day by day rental. It could be a week, month, however you feel. There's the flexibility there.
For some people, it's not the facilities there, it's the ability to just have a conversation with somebody or brainstorm.
Absolutely, and we've already seen businesses that have partnered together to then produce another service, another product as a result of being in those. So that's been a really big success that's come out of the COVID recovery grants actually that came forward.
Funny, isn't it? I was talking to somebody the other day about some of the things that we now do as part of our regular business lives. We wouldn't have even considered it 3 years ago.
Absolutely.
But now we don't even think twice. It's just like we've always worked this way, doesn't it?
Absolutely. So it's created such a different way of thinking, and I think a positive way, because it's opened our eyes up to innovation, to technology, and to doing things a bit differently.
How much has it changed your job then?
Oh, hugely. There was obviously, from a team perspective, we were very much involved in the COVID recovery side of things. But now coming out, it's nice to be in that next step of opportunity and growth and where we can take it next.
And before all this, you would never have been stood in the quarry in Shrewsbury in the middle of the week talking about it all.
Absolutely. This is great. Beautiful day.
Exactly.
Spring has sprung, hopefully.
So is there anything particularly, just going back to the economic partnership point of view, anything on your shopping list, anything you're looking for from businesses, anything that you'd really like to happen more or happen more quickly?
Yeah, I think the thing from my perspective is those businesses have got those ideas and innovations, and they're not quite sure where to go. It might be from a grant funding perspective, or they might need signposting, or they might just have something that they think it would be really good if in Shropshire we had. That's come to us, let us know.
Because that's where you can facilitate, isn't it?
Absolutely.
You can you'll know that there's two pieces of the jigsaw on opposite ends of the county, maybe, and you can bring them together.
Absolutely, that's it. And as a team, we do a lot of that, a lot of signposting, a lot of connecting, and that networking that brings people together to make things happen. And that's what these groups are for.
Do you feel like there's actually more of a will at the moment to want to try and do business with other Shropshire businesses as well?
Most definitely. A lot of the messages that I when I'm speaking to businesses, they come forward and say, if we can buy local, if we can be serviced locally, we would rather have that than go outside. And everyone's thinking about that last mile of delivery. It's those elements of it and how they can join themselves up and make that work.
If the green sustainability issue is nearer the top of the agenda, then that becomes more important for people. Even if it's maybe an extra 50p, an extra £1 here or there, you'll maybe...
Absolutely, and there's the supply chain aspect of all of that. More and more businesses are putting it into their contracting that there has to be that CSR, that green element to how they're providing their services and their products, and it's becoming a lot more strict.
Well, some companies will only do business with
absolutely
with suppliers that have got that in
absolutely. If it's not there and it's not part of your culture and your business, you might not get that contract. And actually, it also feeds into that skills and retention, especially for the younger generation. The younger generation, we're finding, are a lot more aware of businesses that have got that CSR. They are thinking about climate change and they're meeting the needs.
Yeah, and companies have just got to be wise to that, haven't they? As you say,
Absolutely.
that's the next generation.
It's the next generation's desire to ensure that they look after the planet.
Yeah. We need to pick your brains more often, so we'll see you again very soon.
Absolutely. Always enjoy meeting up with you, Carl.
Good to see you. Thanks a lot, Tracy. Thank you.
I started looking into different routes after college, found out about apprenticeships and decided I wanted to kickstart my career straight away rather than waiting.
I chose to do an apprenticeship because I like the idea of starting work straight away as soon as I could, and then learning as well. It's good to learn a trade, but then when you have the college course that goes with it, you get the extra knowledge that you wouldn't necessarily get if you're just working day to day on the job.
Another set of studio guests, another set of furniture, in fact, in the Yarrington studios. We are live here from Yarrington in Shrewsbury for the April edition of Shropshire Business Live TV, and it's time now to catch up with our friends from ACO, who, as ever, have been very busy since last month. And Jane, you've brought a couple of guests with you today to talk about your fundraising festival. Now, we touched on this a couple of months ago, didn't we, when you just started making early plans for it. Things are taking shape now, aren't they? So tell us, where are we at? Tell us what's going on.
They certainly are. So the event is on the 15th of July. So yeah, it's not far away.
That'll soon come round.
So family fundraising festival is the event, and everything's in place, everything's booked, but we just need to get loads and loads of people there. It's a fundraising festival to support these two charities that we're working very closely with, and we have been for a number of years.
And we'll find out a little bit more about those in a couple of minutes. So the one thing you haven't told us is, where's it happening?
So it's at Bryn Kinnault Estate, which is in Chirk. So very local.
Now I know that from the fact in another life I review the films, and didn't that appear in Lady Chatterley's Lover, the movie that was remade a couple of months ago?
Apparently so. Yeah. So it's a beautiful setting.
Looks fabulous from the film. So.
I mean, if we get a lovely summer's day, it's going to be amazing. Fingers crossed for that. But
and this is the first time you've done an event like this, isn't it?
It certainly is. First time we've done one. First time we've organised one. But we're really excited about it. It's going to be a really good event.
How have you found the organising process? Because myself, I've been involved in organising events before. It's not always that easy, is it? It's not always straightforward.
No, it's not. I mean, we're not event organisers ourselves, but as part of what we do as a business, we're about giving back and supporting charities and fundraising. It really is about making an event as best we can. I mean, it is difficult, but we have lots of support. So there's a group of us working together, and these two guys have been great as well in helping it all come together and get everything in place.
So you've been involved, Curtis, then maybe in a bit of the organising. So what's your role on the day? What are you going to be up to?
So a little bit of everything really. So when people arrive, there'll be a welcome station, a registration station, and they can pick up tokens from there as well. So the tokens will be for events and activities on the day, which will be great. And then there'll be a bit of litter picking, I'm sure, and cleaning up after everyone.
Stewarding,
Oh yeah, a little bit of everything.
You'll do a few steps, won't you, during the day?
Yeah, I'll make sure I wear my watch, get my steps up.
Tell us a bit about the Movement Centre then, for people that don't know.
So the Movement Centre is a children's charity that provides a specialist form of physiotherapy, and it's for children with movement difficulties. So all of the children we see have a diagnosis that affects their movement control, and the basis of our therapy is a standing frame based therapy, and over a 12-month period the children are sent home with that standing frame and a physiotherapy programme, and hopefully we're seeing them progress and gain strength and control in their core to give them and maximise their potential.
So do you work in conjunction, in partnership with various other agencies then, or is it very much a standalone business?
No, so we are a standalone charity, but we work very closely with NHS staff and other organisations that offer other therapies that are kind of similar or good additions to what we offer as well.
And Leanne, are you going to be patrolling on the day as well with your high vis? And what's your plan for it?
Yeah, we're all getting stuck in. I think we're all going to be there probably 8-9 o'clock in the morning, setting up the day before as well. So yeah, it's just kind of mucking in and doing every job that needs doing probably, and working together as a team, which is also really key.
And again, same as you said to Curtis, just tell us a little bit more about your charity.
Yeah, so Little Stars is again a children's charity, but we help families across Shropshire with the essentials that they need for their children due to whatever complex situation that they're in, that they're unable to afford to provide for their child. That could be anything from baby essentials such as Moses baskets, clothing, hospital bag essentials for mum, right up to school uniforms as well, which we're also pushing on for this year. So yeah, we kind of help a lot. We're just in the midst of setting up community hubs as well, so that we can help more families in the region and across Shropshire, and we're working in conjunction with our referral partners to get that off the ground.
How easy is it at the moment in the charity sector for you to attract the kind of funding, the donations? You know, everybody's talking about cost of living being tight, people haven't got so much money in their pockets. Is that impacting on organisations like yours, and how important is it to have support from, you know, companies like ACO?
I mean, year on year, it's very important for charities to get support from corporates and trusts and foundations, but this year even more, I think, on the back of the pandemic and the cost of living. I think everyone's kind of feeling the pinch, and charities are all there to create services that necessarily wouldn't be there without that funding. So I think it's even more important now to have that support, and ACO have been amazing for both of us. I don't want to speak for Leanne as well, but over the years and this year again, there's lots of different events going on, and the Family Fundraising Festival will be a great event to be involved with.
Leanne, what about from your point of view?
Yeah, absolutely what Curtis has said. It's really hard at the moment. So for us, because we're very donation based, we do have Morrison stores that provide pick-up packs that customers can buy to be able to keep our stockpiles of nappies, wipes, etc. And you know, in comparison to last year, we're definitely seeing the difference in the lesser donations for that. So, and again, because everybody's feeling the impact of the cost of living crisis. But I just want to, you know, second what Curtis has said, we're really lucky in terms of the corporate support that we have, and especially from ACO, and the fact that they're doing this fundraising event in aid of both of our charities is just absolutely amazing. So,
Jane, how do you choose at ACO which causes to support?
Well, it's over the years it's changed. We've had like charities of the year, and Leanne was our charity last year, which was really good. So we were able to support throughout last year and previously, I think, the year before, and helping her charity to grow really. But with this year, what we found is the charities that the majority of charities we're working with are around sort of support for children. So this year is very much a charity focus. So it is in support of children and young people. We're out there supporting education in a big way as a business. So it fits into that whole sort of focus really of young people. So
when you say you're supporting it as in ACO, but the staff, the teams all get together and they really do get behind these charities, don't they?
They do, yeah. I mean, the staff engagement is amazing. Myself, I'm part of organising and coordinating all of our sort of like community support, but to have colleagues that are really engaged and want to be involved makes my job a lot easier. And of course it helps these guys if we're out volunteering. Volunteering alone is a great way of just giving your time. It's it's not all about money all the time.
No, it isn't. No. And it's great to see, because obviously you're sending your news to myself at Shropshire Live and yourself at Shropshire Business, and for us to see this and share this, I guess it inspires other companies to do the same as well.
I hope so, and I think there's a lot more people out there, a lot more businesses out there doing this thing, or interested to learn
Yeah.
You know,
are you getting businesses coming and asking questions like, how are you doing this? Or?
We do, which is really good, and we're more than happy to share how we've grown and how our sort of our ACO in the community itself has grown. We're really proud of it. And if other people, you know, it is about everyone pulling together, isn't it? It's we definitely can't do it on our own.
No, absolutely not.
So the more people that can give back, I think is great. So yeah, we're more than happy to tell other, and help if we can.
We shall be taking a look in a couple of minutes' time at some of the finalists in the Shropshire Chamber Business Awards that were announced last week. So we must say congratulations to the team at ACO for 3 nominations this year, including Business in the Community, isn't it?
Yes.
So that's very much, you know, based on projects like this, isn't it?
It
so,
is.
I mean, that must always feel good when you actually get recognition for it.
It is, and the Community Award hasn't been around for a few years, so it's really good that it's back. And we're very excited, and fingers crossed we'll see. But there's lots of projects going on this year to support our community, and so hopefully.
Brilliant.
So give us a flavour of what's actually going to be happening on this day, on this fundraising day. What kind of entertainment? It's for the whole family, isn't it? A lot of it, I guess, there's outdoors. Is there indoors elements? How's it organised?
It's all outdoors, so it's on like the front lawn of the estate, which is lovely. There'll be tents for sort of sun shelter, we hope, and there'll be music going on throughout the day. So we've got a few different bands booked to suit all ages. Yep. We've got circus performances.
Oh, fantastic. That's really good fun.
Giant board games. We've got like a kids zone that's got lots of different activities, bouncy castles, face painting, all sorts of things like that. Yep. Crazy golf. That's another one.
Will there be local food producers? That's what I want to know.
There is.
I'm there.
There
Excellent.
will. There's local food vans, a booze tent.
I'm there.
Okay,
I'm there. I'm not driving. Good, yes.
Yeah. So there's so many things going on. I think we're the whole space we've got. I think we're full. We're at full capacity.
Really
so it should be a really good atmosphere.
So it's a double win for you guys, isn't it? Not only is it raising funds for you, but you're going to be involved in an event which sounds like it's going to be great, isn't it?
Yeah, I think working collaboratively as well with different organisations within Shropshire, including the food vendors and drink vendors, is going to be great.
What else can businesses do? You know, you've got an audience here of businesses that are listening to this interview now today. How else can businesses engage with the two of you? What else are you particular things you're looking for help from? Is there geographical help? Is there sectors? You know, is there anything that, you know, people can get a shout out for? Yeah,
I suppose from Little Stars' point of view, it would be for us, you know, are they inspired to do any fundraising within their own office to help us? Do they want to do a collection of nappies and wipes? You know, we're always out of stock of size 5s and 6s, yet they're always our most in need. So again, those kind of items would help, and also to look at our wish list. Are there any items that you've got at home that you'd be able to donate to us? And then of course those all important volunteer hours. You know, there's lots of sorting that needs to be done, lots of donations and things, and that's always going to be happening with us. So yeah, there's a few things, so just get in touch if you did want to find out more.
And Curtis, from your point of view, is there anything particular that you're looking for at the moment?
So we've really tried to diversify our event offering over the last few years. So this year we've got the family festival, but we've also got a shark dive, we've got our golf day.
Shark dive, where's that happening?
At Blue Planet Aquarium. No. Blue Planet Aquarium in September. So that's a new and exciting event that we've got.
So people can register and take part in that?
Yes, yeah. And other sponsorship opportunities as well. So yeah, again, like Leanne said, get in touch if there is anything that you feel you can help out with.
Excellent. There's no sharks at Brinkenholt Hall, is there? Not many sharks.
Oh, well,
that's good. That's good.
Hopefully not.
That's good. So last word to you then, Jane. If people want to know more, if they want to book tickets for the event, how do they do it? Where do they go?
Okay, so Saturday the 15th of July, it's on Eventbrite. So literally if you put in ACO Family Fundraising Festival, it should come up on Eventbrite quite easily. ACO website, Little Stars website.
It's on your social media as well, and we'll definitely put it on our
And we'll put it on ours too, so no excuses for not being able to find it.
Brilliant. Well, keep us updated with how it's all going.
Fingers crossed for some sunshine on the 15th of July.
So.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, time now to get some more local business news.
Business mentors have been paired up with Telford College A-level students as part of a national campaign to provide them with one-to-one support and valuable careers advice. The mentors include Dean Muir and Tony Russon from Phoenix Group, Mary Regan of HMRC, John Ward from Penguin Associates and Maria Sanford of Prince Personnel. The programme will run through until the end of the current academic year. 3 new team members have joined Shropshire-based web design specialist Clicking Mad to help handle its growing business. Seamus Howard, Alex Guest and Daniel Sweeney have been recruited to the Bridgnorth-based company as junior web developers. Managing Director Sean Carville says the company's business has grown significantly over the past 2 years. And estate agent Manleys has made its own property purchase in Wellington. The company's been renting its building in Market Street since 2012, but now with a team of 8 permanent staff, the directors have jumped at the chance, they say, to buy the building when it became available. In the last 12 months, the lettings team has grown by 50% and the company's on target to achieve a 25% increase in the number of its managed lettings this year. That's all our business news for this edition, but don't forget there's lots more on the Shropshire Live and Shropshire Business websites.
Well, we're getting ever closer to the Shropshire Chamber of Commerce Business Awards this June. June the 23rd is the date, Carl, and the shortlistings were announced last week.
They were indeed, yeah, and it's always one of the highlights of the business calendar. I know, near record entries again for the Shropshire Chamber Awards this year, which is great.
It's great to hear, isn't it?
I don't know about you, but I just feel like, particularly after what everybody's gone through in the last 2 or 3 years, people just feel like they want something to celebrate. They want to, and why shouldn't we be shouting about Shropshire business success?
Absolutely. I mean, being at last year's awards as well, it just felt so great on the night, and just seeing people getting back together that hadn't seen each other for quite some time, obviously because of COVID. And as you say, it's just a great celebration of all things business here in Shropshire.
I always call it the business Oscars for Shropshire because, I mean, it is the biggest business gathering in the county. You'll have 500, 600, maybe 700 people there at the International Centre. So for some people it's their big team building night as well. But as far as the awards go, there's 12 categories this year. The big one that everybody's interested in, of course, is Shropshire Company of the Year. Yep. We've got 2 former Shropshire Company of the Year winners who are shortlisted. ACO of Oswald Street, who have won it for the last 2 occasions, going for an unprecedented hat-trick.
Right, okay.
Dodd Group from Telford, they won it 6 or 7 years ago. And then we've got 2 first-time finalists from Shrewsbury, which is the media company Reach and Shropshire Homes. So a real mixed bag of companies. I always think with a category like this, how do the judges go out and compare these businesses? Different sizes, different sectors. But yeah, massive number of entries this year for the best small business as well. Unsurprisingly, I think, because Shropshire is dominated by small businesses.
Absolutely, yeah, we are as a business of, a county of smaller businesses. However, those businesses are not small necessarily, are they? They might be small in nature.
No, and I think the definition of a small business is up to 10 full-time equivalent staff. So we've got, if you're looking at the list here, Exascale, who of course we've had on the show today. They're in there, along with the Shropshire Distillery from Ellesmere. We need to get them in here.
We do need to get them in here.
Muttoney's Professional Pet Care from Market Drayton, and Crisby and Office Supplies in Telford. So if you look at it again, completely different areas, geographically a good spread as well.
Yes,
and
that is, yeah.
I think what's also good about the awards this year is the finalists do genuinely come from all over the county. There's Telford and Shrewsbury inevitably, Oswald Street, Bridgnorth, Shifnal, Bishop's Castle, Market Drayton, Whitchurch, Ellesmere. So
it's great representation then.
Genuinely can claim that it is a celebration of all Shropshire. Yeah. And the one thing we won't know until the night is who's going to win the John Clayton Award this year, which is given in honour of a former Shropshire Chamber president for somebody who's given an outstanding contribution to the Shropshire business community. So it'll be always interesting to see who the Chamber directors choose for that one. But yeah, tickets on sale now. There's still some tickets left. ShropshireChamberBusinessAwards.com is the place to go. And we'll see you there. I'm hosting it for the 23 years since I first hosted it. So yeah, we missed 1 year during COVID. So this is my 22nd stint.
And what's it like to host as an evening?
I love it because there's always a buzz. People. I think at an event like this, you have to understand and appreciate that there's a lot of people who are not necessarily there for the awards. They're there for a good night out, or they're there to catch up with friends and colleagues. So you've got to accept there's a buzz in the room. You're not going to get drop a pin silence kind of thing in the room. And also, as the awards categories go on, and some companies have either won or are commiserating, you know, they've cracked open the bottle of bubbly, and the atmosphere just builds and builds.
It really does. Yeah.
It's always interesting to see who the last people are out at the end of the night.
And a great guest this year as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, guest speaker wise, you know, Jay Blades has been flagged up as the guest speaker, and he, you know, of course, he's got Shropshire connections as well through the Ambridge Gorge. But I mean, over the years at the Business Awards, we've had everybody from Lord Digby Jones of the CBI to supermodel Caprice. We've had magicians, we've had impressionists. Some have been Q&As. We famously had Frank Bruno last year. Now, he was an interesting guy to
well, interesting is the word.
To interview, wasn't he? But again, you know, it adds to the showbiz nature of the night.
It's a great evening. And sadly, I can't be there this year.
You've got a better up over you this year.
I'm on a cruise.
So, yeah, that's fair enough. I think that probably classifies.
Absolutely. Well, I'm sure it'll be great, Carl.
Yeah, so looking forward to it. So don't forget, if you want to find out more about the Shropshire Chamber Business Awards, ShropshireChamberBusinessAwards.com is the place. You can book your ticket, you can choose your seat. We'll see you there on the 23rd of June.
Brilliant.
Award-winning news, views and analysis. That's what you get with Shropshire Business Magazine. We celebrate the county's successes. We get the inside stories from our innovators and entrepreneurs, and we cover the big talking points across all corners of the county. We're proud to have been named Midlands Magazine of the Year, and proud too to be a founding partner of Shropshire Business Live TV. Download the latest edition of our magazine from our website right now and drop us a line to find out how we could be putting your company's story into our headlines.
Shropshire Live. News and entertainment for Shropshire. Live.
Well, it's been a busy old show, Carl.
Nice to have some live studio guests again, isn't it? And I think the debate we had about technology,
it's really interesting.
Going to provoke lots of questions. As we said at the time, if there's anything you want to say, any comments you've got, anything you want us to raise on the next show, please do drop us a line through our social media or our email, info@sbltv.co.uk. That's
you can, and you use that email address as well. If you want to be a guest on our show, we'd love to have you. Come on and chat about something you're up to in the business community here in Shropshire. info@sbltv.co.uk. And I've got to give a mention, Carl, as well to SBLTV Knowledge.
Yeah, of course, if you've not seen our info portal, SBLTV Knowledge, this is where you can publish videos, vlogs, podcasts, expert articles, blogs, anything you've got where you're maybe offering help or advice to the Shropshire business community through these current times. If there's some top tips that you've got, this is where you can share them. It doesn't cost a penny. All you've got to do is supply them to us and we will help you to reach an audience. There's lots of facilities, isn't there, on the site as well. We can link you up with suppliers if you've got any particular things you're looking for. So get onto SBLTV Knowledge and have a good browse around and see what's there.
Absolutely. Well, that's just about it for this show then.
It is. We'll be back next month on the final Thursday of May, but just one more duty to perform, and that is to find out who is in the 90 Seconds with Hot Seat today, finding out things you never knew about Helen Culshaw from Ascendancy in Newport. How do you think your colleagues would describe you?
Determined, hardworking. Hopefully they'd say I had a sense of humour as well.
Your greatest strength in the workplace?
Fortitude.
Qualities that you look for in colleagues?
Problem-solving ability, and to be good with people.
Pet hates in the office?
Misplaced apostrophes.
Biggest decision you've made in your career?
Adopting a 4-day week.
Tell us something about you that most people wouldn't know.
I once wrote a thesis about whether or not journalistic English influences The position of the French adjective.
If you were an emoji, what would you be?
Perplexed.
Things you wish you'd known when you were younger.
That everything would be okay.
Favourite movies, musicians?
Erasure. I don't watch movies. I fall asleep halfway through.
Glass of wine or a spinach smoothie?
Definitely a glass of wine.
Gym workout or TV box set?
TV box set.
Early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
Your proudest achievement?
Helping lots of young people build a career in a very interesting sector.
And finally, most importantly, is it Shrewsbury or Shrewsbury?
Clearly Shrewsbury.